The fact that you just traded on that proves that you can't be trusted.
Hands in the air. Turn around slowly.
I cannot believe you just asked me that.
You respected me enough not to lie to my face.
We took that final step and lived to tell the tale.
Picture this. A romantic date night in Port Charles suddenly turns into something straight out of a crime thriller. Chase and Brook Lynn are just trying to enjoy one quiet evening together, away from all the chaos that's been consuming their lives, when Brook Lynn looks down and sees what appears to be a body lying motionless in the street. And that, General Hospital fans, is just the beginning of what is shaping up to be one of the most tension-soaked weeks this show has delivered in a very long time. Because over at Wyndemere, the stakes are even higher. Carly Spencer is playing a dangerous game, smiling her way through enemy territory while hunting for secrets that could blow the entire Sidwell situation wide open. And if that's not enough to get your heart racing, spoilers are now pointing to a dinner party at Wyndemere that could become one of the most explosive social events Port Charles has ever witnessed. Stay right here, because this story is only getting started. Welcome back to General Hospital Media, your go-to place for the latest General Hospital drama, spoilers, and storyline updates. Whether you're catching up on what happened or looking ahead to what's coming, you are in the right place. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's dive into everything that's going down at Wyndemere and beyond. General Hospital has been building towards something massive at Wyndemere for weeks now, and the events of the most recent episodes have made it crystal clear that this storyline is accelerating fast. Between a mysterious body in the street, Carly's risky undercover mission inside Sidwell's domain, and an upcoming dinner party that everyone is already describing as unforgettable, fans are buzzing with excitement and, honestly, a little dread. Because in Port Charles, when someone promises a party is going to be unforgettable, you better believe it won't be for good reasons. Let's break down exactly what happened, what it means, and what's coming next. To fully appreciate just how layered and dangerous this situation has become, you need to understand what brought us here. Jen Sidwell, played with ice-cold menace by Carlo Rota, has been one of the show's most calculating villains in recent memory. He's not just a mob figure operating in the shadows. He's a man who has made himself dangerously comfortable right inside Wyndemere Castle, the legendary Cassadine estate on Spoon Island. He's been living there, scheming there, and using that fortress as the base of his operations. And if that's not chilling enough, he's been holding both Lucas Jones and Marco Rios in a very precarious position. Valentin Cassadine, played by James Patrick Stewart, has been working quietly in the background, desperate to take Sidwell down and reclaim some sense of control. Not just over Wyndemere, but over his own life and his daughter Charlotte's safety. The problem is, Valentin has been essentially hidden away in Carly's attic for months, unable to act freely because Jack Brennan's WSB surveillance has been tracking Charlotte, which means any move could lead directly back to Valentin. So Carly, bold, fearless Carly Spencer, stepped up. She agreed to be his eyes and ears inside Wyndemere, and that is exactly where things stand as we head into this week's drama. The episode opened with a jolt when Brook Lynn and Chase, played by Amanda Setton and Josh Swickard, were stunned to spot what they believed was a body lying in the street. Chase, still a detective at heart despite everything he's been through professionally, immediately went into cop mode. They rushed over, only to discover not a murder victim, but a pregnant woman barely breathing. They managed to revive her, but she frantically objected when they tried to call 911. The woman, who introduced herself as Delilah, claimed she had simply fallen and insisted she was fine, but her body told a very different story. Brook Lynn offered to walk her to her hotel, but the moment they started moving, Delilah doubled over in pain and finally agreed to go to the hospital. It was the kind of scene that General Hospital does so well. What starts as pure terror quickly shifts into something more human, more desperate. And yes, fans had immediately begun speculating about who this mysterious woman was and why she was so terrified of calling for help. The mystery surrounding Delilah deepened when it became clear that her story was far from over. Meanwhile, over at Wyndemere, the real chess match was happening. Carly was snooping around and actually found the wall safe, hidden behind a painting, just as Jen Sidwell had stepped out of the room. For a moment, it felt like Carly was going to pull off the impossible. But then Sidwell returned and Carly had to think fast. Sidwell presented Carly with a proposition she hadn't seen coming. He wanted her to help him plan a dinner party at Wyndemere for Lucas' entire family. Carly initially declined, pointing out that she was dating the head of the Port Charles WSB field office and that Sidwell had long been a target of WSB investigations. Sidwell, unfazed, claimed he had cleaned up his act and now coexisted peacefully with the WSB. and he specifically insisted that Jack Brennan be invited to the party. Think about that for a second. Sidwell wants Brennan at his dinner table. That is either the move of a completely fearless man or someone setting an elaborate trap, and knowing Sidwell, it's almost certainly the latter. Carly ultimately agreed to plan the party, but you could see in her eyes that she was already calculating her next move. Then came the moment that had everyone talking. Ava Jerome came along and drew a completely mistaken conclusion about Carly's connection to Sidwell. When Sidwell admitted they were plotting something and asked Ava to join in, Ava's mind went straight to suspicion. Sidwell promised an unforgettable dinner party and Carly backed him up, hinting that the event would shock everyone in attendance. Ava may have had her doubts, but she was intrigued, and that's exactly the kind of detail that makes fans nervous. Because when Ava Jerome gets involved in anything at Wyndemere, the chaos level rises exponentially. Back at the hospital, the situation with Delilah was escalating fast. Britt Westbourne was doing everything in her power to help Delilah and her unborn child, fighting against time in what became a high-stakes medical emergency. And here's the thing. Britt herself has been in a precarious situation, with Marco attempting to secretly retrieve her medications from Sidwell's safe. Marco had tried to get Britt's meds out of the safe, but Sidwell found him and demanded to know what he was really up to. Marco's position inside Wyndemere is becoming more dangerous with every passing episode. General Hospital fans have absolutely lost their minds over this storyline, and honestly, who can blame them? Social media lit up the moment Brook Lynn spotted that body in the street. Viewers were immediately spinning theories. Was it connected to Sidwell? Was it a planted distraction? Was it somehow tied to the WSB? When it turned out to be a pregnant woman named Delilah, the fan reaction was split right down the middle. Some felt relieved that it wasn't a murder mystery, at least not yet, while others are convinced that Delilah is far more significant to the plot than the show is letting on. The secrecy around her identity and her refusal to call for help have many fans speculating that she's connected to someone we already know, possibly someone with ties to Sidwell's world or even the Cassadine history. The dinner party announcement, though, is where online buzz really exploded. Fans immediately started asking the most General Hospital question imaginable. Who's going to end up dead at this dinner? Because Wyndemere dinner parties do not have a great track record in Port Charles. The Cassadine Castle has seen more blood, betrayal, and bombshell revelations than any venue on daytime television, and Sidwell promising an unforgettable evening has fans on edge in the best possible way. Some viewers noted that Sidwell hasn't shown his most dangerous side in a while, and argued that the show is clearly building toward a violent reckoning. Others are pointing to the growing web of characters all converging on Wyndemere at once. Carly, Ava, Lucas, Marco, and now potentially Brennan, as evidence that the show is setting up something absolutely enormous. One popular fan theory making the rounds right now is that the dinner party is going to be used as a cover for Sidwell to make a major power move against Brennan and the WSB simultaneously. Let's talk about what's really happening beneath the surface here, because this storyline is operating on several levels at once. On the surface, Sidwell is hosting a dinner party. But everything Sidwell does has a calculated purpose. He didn't invite Jack Brennan to that dinner out of social grace. He invited him because he wants Brennan in a controlled environment, surrounded by Sidwell's terms and Sidwell's walls. Carly agreeing to plan the party is equally layered. Yes, she's doing it to maintain access to Wyndemere, but she's also walking a razor's edge. Valentin warned her about getting too deep, and now she's not just an observer. She's an active participant in planning an event that could become the most dangerous gathering in Port Charles history. The fact that she found the hidden safe puts her at even greater risk, especially since Sidwell returned to the room before she could act on what she discovered. Ava being pulled into this dinner party web is fascinating storytelling. She told Sidwell she wasn't in that line of work anymore when she thought he was plotting something criminal, which tells us she's trying to keep her distance from the underworld. But Wyndemere keeps pulling her back in. Ava at a Sidwell dinner party, surrounded by WSB figures and mob-adjacent players, is a character study waiting to happen. And we all know Ava Jerome has a way of landing in the middle of things with explosive consequences. Then there's the looming shadow of Valentin and Charlotte. Charlotte snuck into the attic to meet her father, and Valentin told her he was working on a plan, asking her to be patient. But their secret meeting could end abruptly at any moment, because Josslyn is closing in. Spoilers indicate that Josslyn is standing outside the attic door with her gun drawn, which means Carly's entire secret operation could be seconds away from being exposed to her own daughter. If Josslyn finds Valentin, the entire plan could unravel in an instant, and Sidwell would almost certainly find out. Looking ahead, All signs point to Wyndemere becoming ground zero for the next major General Hospital explosion. The dinner party is shaping up to include Carly, Sidwell, Ava, Lucas, and potentially Jack Brennan, which is essentially a guest list designed for maximum dramatic impact. Carly is expected to eavesdrop on a critical conversation at Wyndemere in the coming days, which could mean she finally gets the information Valentin so desperately needs to bring Sidwell down. Meanwhile, Josslyn is set to compare notes with Jason after her suspicions deepen, which suggests that whatever she discovers is going to push her further into the investigation rather than away from it. Josslyn has proven herself to be far more capable and driven than people give her credit for, and her instincts about Marco and Wyndemere are pointing her in exactly the right direction. The Delilah storyline is almost certainly going to intersect with the larger plot in ways we can't fully predict yet. A mysterious pregnant woman who refuses medical help doesn't just stumble across Brook Lynn and Chase's path by accident. Port Charles doesn't do coincidences, and General Hospital's writers don't introduce characters this dramatically without a very good reason. Keep your eyes on Delilah. As for the dinner party itself, our prediction is that this gathering becomes the moment where multiple secrets collide at once. If Carly has gotten the information from the safe by then, if Valentin has his plan ready to execute, and if Josslyn is now fully looped in on what's been happening inside that attic, the dinner at Wyndemere could be the night that changes everything for Sidwell, for Brennan, and for nearly every major player in Port Charles. So to recap everything on the table right now, Brook Lynn and Chase's shocking discovery in the street turned out to be a pregnant woman named Delilah, but her story is far from over. Carly successfully located Sidwell's hidden safe at Wyndemere, but she's now committed to planning a dinner party that puts her directly in the line of fire. Sidwell is making calculated moves, pulling Ava and Brennan into his orbit for reasons that are far from innocent. Marco's position inside the castle is growing more unstable by the day. Valentin is on borrowed time in Carly's attic. And Josslyn, gun drawn, may be seconds away from blowing the whole thing wide open. Wyndemere has always been the most dangerous address in Port Charles, and right now, every single thread of this story is pulling toward that castle. What do you think is really going on with Sidwell's dinner party? Is this an elaborate trap, or is something even more sinister being planned inside those castle walls? And what do you make of the mysterious Delilah? Could she be connected to someone we already know? Drop your theories in the comments below, because this General Hospital community has some of the sharpest minds in daytime television, and we absolutely want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please give this video a thumbs up. It truly helps the channel more than you know. And make sure you subscribe to General Hospital Media so you never miss a single spoiler, recap, or storyline update. We'll see you in the next one.